It's stressful for them. Oh my god.
If I would show my booty, I would be like, yeah. Ah.
Twitch used to be about this. Now it's about this. Female gamers in sports bras, ASMR streams that are actually about the visuals, and who could forget the infamous hot tub streamers? At one point in time, Twitch was fighting back on this type of content pretty hard. They would permaban streamers for the slightest of offenses, shadowban their content, and or disable advertising for such channels. But over the years, Twitch has become more and more liberal. In fact, they've actually turned to embracing more mature content. For example, 2 years ago, they added the hot tub category into Twitch. And more recently, they have even gone as far as unbanning streamers who are known for pushing the boundaries like Indie Fox. I mean, her channel name itself has 2 X's in it. Surely, that's just a coincidence. It's not really surprising why so many streamers have turned to this content. The bottom line is that it's simply extraordinarily lucrative. Take streamer Karina Kopp for example. She's one of the biggest names when it comes to streamers with an OF, and when she switched to OF, she made 4 million in the first month and 1 million the next month. According to another streamer named Alinity, when she transitioned to OF, she made more in a month than she would have made on Twitch in 10 years. And that's not to say that they were making a small amount on Twitch itself. And given that Twitch gets 50% of the revenue that streamers pull in through the platform, it's no wonder why they've turned to promoting this content. But at what cost? There's no denying that mature content is very much taboo, even in Western societies. And how many parents would want their kids watching content on a platform that promotes this? Safe to say, not that many. It's also likely that streamers will have a lot more hesitancy when it comes to using the platform. If Twitch becomes known for its mature content and you simply want to stream gaming content, it's more than likely that you choose to stream on YouTube instead. So it looks like Twitch may be digging their own grave when it comes to the general audience. But how did things get so bad? I mean, there's plenty of creators who do the same thing on YouTube as well. Likely the most notable example is Belle Delphine, but YouTube is by no means known for this content. So here's Twitch's devolution from gaming and reaction content to not safe for work content. Taking a look back, the downfall of Twitch can actually be traced back to their most recent surge, which was actually 3 years ago at this point, right at the beginning of the pandemic. In April of 2020, Twitch's streamers and viewership basically doubled. Concurrent streams went from just over 50,000 to 100,000, and concurrent viewership went from 1.4 million to 2.4 million. This momentum carried into early 2021, but by the summer, Twitch was starting to show the first signs of plateauing. And now that we're 2 years out, this trend is even clearer. From a normal person perspective, this is by no means a problem. Twitch had simply reached its pinnacle, and it was starting to stabilize like any mature company. But from Amazon's perspective, this was a nightmare. If you didn't know, Amazon is one of the most infamous growth companies of all time. In the past 13 years, they haven't even had a single quarter of negative year-over-year growth. But to achieve this, they've made some pretty massive bets. In fact, they've basically sacrificed all trace of profitability. They just reinvest everything they make, and if they still have profit left over, they'll just keep prices the same until inflation catches up. This is because the company strongly believes that your margin is their opportunity. So, in theory, if they have no margin, no one else will have any opportunity. And they have very much ran Twitch with this same mindset. Despite being a ginormous platform, it's not clear if Twitch is or ever was profitable. After all, it's not cheap to stream and store hundreds of millions of hours worth of content. This is the main reason that Twitch doesn't really support 4K streaming. It's estimated that in 2019, it cost Amazon $1.8 billion to run Twitch, but they only pulled in $1.54 billion worth of revenue. The pandemic boom may have pushed Twitch into profitability, but only slightly, if at all. And the problem is that these wonky economics only work if the company is constantly growing at 20, 30, 40% per year. Stagnation is seen as a catastrophe. And Twitch hasn't just been stagnating, they've actually been declining. In fact, in November of 2022, Twitch had its largest viewership drop in years of 10%. Again, this isn't to say that Twitch is dying. It was just cooling off from the pandemic boom as people started doing other stuff again. But I think you can imagine the disgruntled faces of Amazon executives after seeing this performance. Why wasn't Twitch growing? TikTok was growing, Instagram was growing, and even YouTube, which had been out for way longer, was still growing. What was Twitch doing wrong? Well, the answer was that they simply appealed to a much more niche demographic due to their business model. Unlike most popular services today, Twitch actually makes most of their money from users directly paying creators. And there's very few niches in which this strategy will work. So, by nature, Twitch was limited by how much they could grow, and they were left with two options. Either they could focus on promoting free content and appealing to a broader audience, or they could cut costs. Let's just say, Twitch would aggressively choose the latter. Usually, platforms like YouTube are quite generous when it comes to revenue sharing with creators, and the reasoning isn't rocket science. The more that creators make, the more that these platforms, so it's in their best interest to align incentives and lock in creators. This is why YouTube has been handing out exclusivity deals left and right, and why Spotify paid Joe Rogan $200 million to switch to Spotify. But for a few years now, Twitch has been doing the exact opposite. And the creators who gave Twitch the confidence to do this were none other than Ninja and Shroud, two of the platform's most popular streamers. You see, back in late 2019, Microsoft paid these creators a stupid amount of money to switch to their streaming platform, Mixer. They paid Ninja $50 million and Shroud $10 million. At first, this was seen as a massive loss for Twitch. Microsoft had literally bought out two of their biggest creators. But to most people's surprise, Twitch's viewership didn't really go down after these creators left. And to make things even better for Twitch, Microsoft would actually shut down Mixer in mid-2020, and both streamers would return to Twitch for free. This was Twitch's light bulb moment. The bottom line was that these creators had nowhere else to go. Sure, there are some exceptions like Ludwig who have been able to successfully transition to YouTube, but for the most part, streamers only have one option, Twitch. And according to former Twitch employees, the company would leverage this as much as possible. They would start renewing contracts with the top streamers with less favorable conditions, and they were even rooting for top streamers to leave, as it gave up-and-coming streamers more room to grow. Apparently, Ninja leaving gave room for 5 to 6 new streamers to take his place. This was no doubt a new strategy for streaming platforms, but it was by no means a new strategy for Amazon. I'm sure you're all familiar with the terrible working conditions of Amazon workers. You've probably wondered why Amazon doesn't just fix these issues to improve employee satisfaction and retention. Well, the answer is that they literally want employees to leave. Whenever you get a new job, you'll probably work your ass off to build up a good reputation. But as you become more tenured, you'll likely become more comfortable and settle into a more normal working schedule. Jeff Bezos sees this evolution as a march to mediocrity, so Amazon tries to avoid this at all costs. Instead, they want people to join Amazon, work a crap ton, see that no one recognizes their efforts, and then leave. This way, they can repeat this same process with the next sucker in line. There's no doubt that this is a toxic strategy, but it's worked for them quite well over the past 2 decades, and now they're applying the same strategy to Twitch. Hungry creators jump onto the platform and grind away on content, hoping that just maybe they can make it. Once they make it though, they realize that Twitch isn't actually all that friendly, and they either get burnt out or switch to YouTube. This doesn't really matter for Twitch though, as there's hundreds of thousands of creators who would be happy to take their place. While effective, this has made Twitch into the same meat grinder as Amazon. All of these cuts on the creator side worked out quite well for Twitch financially. In fact, Twitch is still actively cutting perks for creators. In late 2022, for example, Twitch nerfed creators with a 70-30 revenue split down to 50-50 after the first 100,000. This was an especially savage move because streamers were actually asking for all creators to be boosted to a 70-30 model, but Twitch went ahead and it did the exact opposite. But while all these moves made Twitch less of a money pit, it didn't solve Twitch's original problem, which was stagnating growth. What they needed was new creator-generated content that appealed to a larger demographic that people were willing to pay for directly. there was really only one genre that accomplished this, and that's of course simp content. To be honest, it's not surprising why this content would perform so well on Twitch. The platform is literally filled with decently well-off antisocial gamers, so it's no wonder why these people ate up thirst traps and e-thoughts. It's likely that they didn't want to associate with this content or have it tarnish the brand of Twitch or Amazon. But it seems like all of their worries flurried away when they saw other platforms were doing the same thing, particularly Instagram and TikTok. I mean, half the content on TikTok is crap like this, and as for Instagram, let's be honest, ain't no one following fitness models because they inspired them to work out or something. Even YouTube has turned to this type of content when it comes to shorts. So somewhere along the line, Twitch figured, if everyone else is doing it, why shouldn't we? We should also mention that another risque website has blown up over the past couple of years. The success of this platform likely just motivated Twitch even more to make the switch. And judging by the content on Twitch today, it looks like they've definitely made the switch. Looking forward, it doesn't seem like things will get any better. Just 1 month ago, Twitch's co-founder Emmett Shear stepped down as CEO. So now it's truly just a bunch of Amazonians who are looking for maximum growth and don't really care about the soul of the platform. So you can bet that Twitch's creator policies will just get even less friendly. They'll become even more of a meat grinder, and they're gonna embrace any avenue that allows them to continue growing. Now, of course, I don't think they'll turn to full-on adult content. But with that being said, I do believe that they'll continue to push the boundaries in terms of what's acceptable for a mainstream platform. And given that Instagram and TikTok are very much willing to do the same thing, Twitch's days as the gaming platform may very well be coming to an end. And that's the sad state of Twitch. Do you approve of the new direction of Twitch? Comment that down below. Also, drop a like if you missed the old Twitch. And of course, consider checking out our Discord community to suggest future video ideas and consider subscribing to see more questions logically answered. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.